Hey everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk. Movie talk for movie fans. I'm Chrisley Kennedy, and this is the show that brings you the day's biggest movie news with insight into what it all means. Joining me is AMC Movie News Senior Editor John Campia. Hey, John.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. We're going to get started with today's news. We may have our first bit of information regarding the upcoming new Star Wars movie, Star Wars Episode 7, set to be released in 2015 and is currently being written by Academy Award-winning screenwriter Michael Arndt. So far, there's still no director or cast, but according to an article by the news service routers, an agency report is circulating that says the following. Yavin 4 and the Rebel base return to the Star Wars plot in the forthcoming Episode 7, announced in October by Walt Disney Company, in which Skywalker comes back to the planet and builds a Jedi Knight Academy. John, could this be true? And if so, what does it mean?
Okay. Could it be true? It could be true. I mean, this isn't sometimes, a lot of times online, you get wild speculation going around by some randomly unknown blog somewhere, make some wild, claim, and some people run with it. This is different. I mean, this is from a seriously international, reputable news agency. Does it mean it is true? No. But it could be. Because not only is the source fairly reputable, but it is in line with what happens in the extended Star Wars universe. There is a video game, came out in 2003, called Jedi Academy. That's kind of that premise. It's Yavin 4. Yavin 4, for those of you who don't know and have more of a social life than I do, Yavin 4 is where the secret hidden rebel base is in the original Star Wars movie, where they launch their attack on the Death Star and where Han and Luke get their medals. It's a wonderful, glorious thing. So in the video game and in a series of books called the Jedi Academy Trilogy, which is comprised of the books The Jedi Search, Dark Apprentice, and Champions of the Force, Luke Skywalker, about 7 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, goes back to Yavin 4 and establishes a Jedi Academy to try to reestablish the Jedi Order. So it's a fairly reputable source. It is in line with what we know about Star Wars canon. And therefore, the answer is yes, it could be true. Now, let's assume for a second that it is true. This would be awesome. I mean, this would be really awesome. Look, I've always said that if you're going to do new Star Wars movies, I want to see the Thrawn trilogy. But if you're not going to do that, which it looks like they're not, this type of a narrative, Luke Skywalker going back and reestablishing the Jedi Academy to face new threats in the galaxy, this would be fantastic. So could it be true? Yes. What does it mean? It would mean awesomeness. So I'm just hoping that this actually works out to be the real deal.
And Star Wars fans will be excited everywhere.
Very excited.
Okay, it's now official. Hugh Jackman has joined the cast of the upcoming sequel to X-Men First Class, X-Men Days of Future Past, which opens in AMC theaters everywhere in the summer of 2014. Director Bryan Singer made the announcement on his Twitter account. So, John, good idea to bring Hugh Jackman into the movie?
Yeah, absolutely. Hugh Jackman is kind of like the Nick Fury of the Marvel Universe. Nick Fury's been that one thread that has tied everything together in the Marvel Universe. And Hugh Jackman has kind of become that thread. He's appeared in every single X-Men film, even ever so briefly in X-Men First Class. And if you know the comic book Days of Future Past, Wolverine actually has a significant role in that. We still don't know how close to the comic book version of the story Days of Future Past that the new movie is going to hold to. But look, Hugh Jackman is the biggest star in the franchise. He probably should win the Academy Award this year for Best Actor for his role in Les Mis. He is the most compelling, interesting, and popular character, Wolverine, in the X-Men universe. So when we heard rumors about him possibly joining the new X-Men film, people got excited. I think this confirmation just reaffirms that. And listen, it's also kind of interesting. This summer, we're going to get to see him play Wolverine again in his second standalone movie, Wolverine, which looks really awesome so far. So yeah, I think all around, this is great news for everybody involved.
I think so too. All right, Vin Diesel will officially be returning as Riddick in the movie with the same name on September 6th. This will be the third movie in the Riddick saga, with the first film, Pitch Black, back in 2000, and the second film, The Chronicles of Riddick, in 2004. In the third film, Riddick finds himself left for dead on a barren, sun-scorched world and has to fight to survive against alien creatures, mercenaries, and a man on a personal hunt for him. John, are you looking forward to Riddick?
I'm a little bit torn. I'm a little bit torn because, first of all, I am a sci-fi junkie. I love action films, sci-fi films, so obviously sign me up. At the same time, I know a lot of people really liked Pitch Black, and I wasn't a big fan of it. I thought it was okay, but I wasn't a big fan of it as a lot of people were. The Chronicles of Riddick I thought was terrible. I really didn't like that film at all, like in any way, shape, or form. So, look, if they had come out with Riddick in 2006, I really wouldn't have been excited about it because the bad taste in my mouth from the Chronicles of Riddick still would have been there. But, I mean, we're 8 years later now. Vin Diesel seems to have been finding a stride with really good action lately with the reviving of the Fast and the Furious franchise. I think the last 2 Fast and the Furious movies have been really good. I didn't like the rest of them, but the last 2 have been really good. And so sci-fi, sun-scorched world, fighting mercenaries, fighting alien creatures. Look, I'm not a big fan of the previous entries in the franchise, but why not? It's getting back to the more basic elements like they have in the most recent Fast and the Furious films, in Fast 5. It just gets back to let's take the ingredients that really work. The action, the chases, that kind of stuff. Let's really focus on that. And it had great success. And from this type of a description, it sounds like Riddick may be getting back to those basic elements as well, and that could be a good thing.
I like back to basics. Okay, my favorite story of the day. Last night in Hollywood, Joss Whedon held a special screening of The Avengers at the Directors Guild of America, and then held an hour-long Q&A following the screening. John, you were invited to the event last night.
And brought you.
And I got to go too. And what were some of the most interesting bits of information that Whedon revealed?
Whedon... He actually spilled a lot of stuff that I was completely surprised at. I think for me, the biggest revelation that he gave was the fact that when he first came on to write The Avengers, when he wrote the first draft, they did not think Scarlett Johansson was going to be available to play Black Widow. And therefore, he said, the first draft of the script was very waspy. Is all he said, to which got everybody in the audience kind of giggling. He said, as a matter of fact, it was too waspy because I'd start writing stuff and I just did nothing but write her because I think she's adorable, and he'd just write more and more Wasp. And then obviously Scarlett Johansson came on board and Wasp wasn't there. So that was really interesting. The second really interesting thing he said was this. He said, you got 4 of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe, and you got these 2 great assassins. He goes, and all I've got for them to fight against is one well-spoken Englishman, talking about Loki. He said in his first draft, and what he fought, he said his only fight with Marvel Studios was that he wanted to have a second main villain along with Loki. Now, he wouldn't reveal who it is. I have heard rumors before, though, that he wanted to get Red Skull, who is, of course, the villain in the Captain America movie. He wanted to get Red Skull in there. That wasn't confirmed or denied last night, so we can only speculate at this point. So I also found that was pretty interesting. And, it's fabulous seeing a movie like Avengers, which is in my top 5 movies of the year. Might be number 1, might be number 5. I haven't worked out my list yet. We'll get to that next week. And seeing just a storyteller like Joss Whedon sit there and tell these, he told some great stuff about Star Wars as well. Some of his Toy Story writing days he told stories about, that he wrote the entire script for Cabin in the Woods in 3 days.
Which is unheard of.
Which is unbelievable. It was a lot of great stuff. But yeah, the fact that the first draft had Wasp in it, so that leads me to believe we're probably going to see Wasp in Avengers 2. Yeah. And the fact that he had a second villain that he did not want to talk about, that tells me we're going to see another significant villain that isn't Thanos come along here pretty soon. So a lot of really, really good stuff. Hey, but listen, folks, that'll do it for us. That's all of our news for today. Thank you so much for joining us. But listen, before you do anything else, stop what you're doing. Click the subscribe button. Become one of our subscribers to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's absolutely free, and it'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news, our editorials, and of course, our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Listen, while you're at it, don't forget to become one of our followers on Twitter by going to twitter.com/AMC Theaters. Like us on Facebook. Nearly 4 million people already have at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. I want to thank Chris Lee for being here.
Thank you.
Don't forget, come back and join us again tomorrow. Visit us 3, 4, 5 times a day at amctheaters.com/movie news. And don't forget, come back tomorrow. Until next time, my name is John Campia for AMC Movie News. Bye-bye.